Hi, my name's Lee. I'm a pupil at St Leonard's Primary, and today I'm going to be interviewing some of the local candidates for the forthcoming council elections on May the 3rd. I saw a leaflet from a Labour Party candidate, and they were saying that if the people of East Kilbride vote for Labour, they will ensure that the remainder of the new primary schools will be built. What do SNP have to say about that?
SNP plan to do exactly the same thing and to build the new primary schools that are needed.
It makes no difference what political party I'm controlling administration at South Lanarkshire to ensure that these schools are completed. South Lanarkshire Council are committed, their budgets are committed to completing the schools remodernisation programme, and I will say that SNP and their manifesto have clearly committed to completing the schools remodernisation programme.
It's very strange that when Labour were in power in Holyrood, they said that they built lots of schools, many of which were built under the Private Finance Initiative and won't be paid for 30 years. But as soon as the SNP took power in Holyrood, Labour said, we didn't build a single school, but we've actually built over 300, or improved over 300 schools across Scotland since we took power, including all of the ones that have been done in the past 5 years in South Lanarkshire.
I was born in 2000, so South Lanarkshire Council has been under Labour Party administration all my life. My mum and dad are always saying that before South Lanarkshire, East Kilbride was a lovely, clean town to be proud of. SNP are saying put the pride back in East Kilbride. How do SNP plan to do this if they win control of South Lanarkshire?
An SNP-controlled administration will make sure that East Kilbride gets its fair share of funding, and we'll be repairing the paths and the footpaths. We will be bringing the pride back to East Kilbride the way it was before 1996.
Well, for a start, we can try getting some of the basics right. We've just been looking at a play area in Westwood that has been completely neglected for years. And there is no reason, there's no excuse for that. The Labour Party had huge amounts of public expenditure during their term in office, both in South Lanarkshire and in Holyrood. And to leave something like that for children of this generation is just unforgivable. So we need to get the basics right. We need to look after capital investment and make sure it continues to be available for future generations. And that's the kind of thing that I'll be looking at, ensuring South Lanarkshire Council focuses its attention on. Less of the big picture, talking about things that you can deliver and actually delivering the things that you're able to deliver.
Everyone in East Kilbride is concerned about the bus service. One of my friends at high school, who travel on the 21 bus, missed the first bus in the morning after 8, as it would have to get them to school too early, but the next bus didn't arrive till 8:45, which meant they were late. What can SNP do about the poor service in East Kilbride?
East Kilbride SNP have got quite a strong team who are concerned about transport. There's been a lot of things going on in East Kilbride. The transport service has gone downhill. If there is an SNP administration at control in South Lanarkshire, then we'll also have a presence on the Strathclyde Partnership Transport, and we'll have a voice there. We also have somebody who is very involved in transport in the group. Our MSP, Linda Fabiani, has been working with the local councillors with First Bus to try and improve this.
Local bus services are the responsibility of the Scottish Government and Strathclyde Partnership for Transport. We would certainly try to influence them to ensure that the services are improved, but the SNP have inherited a system where the Scottish Government is actually subsidising fuel consumption by buses rather than making sensible journeys. So many of them clog up the city centres in Glasgow and Edinburgh and just get in each other's road. The government are trying to change the system and are trying to work out a better way to use the hundreds of millions of pounds that are used each year to subsidise bus transport. It might take some time to get it right, but we're trying to do that to ensure that we get the best use of the money that we're putting in so that people like your friend can actually get a decent bus service.
Our school's parent council work very hard to help our school. How will SNP help them?
The SNP believes strongly in involving parents in every aspect of a child's education. The SNP also want to work very closely with all community groups and parent councils, and we're looking at things like the number of lets that they have in the schools, to let them get on with their business.
I've heard about the Petitions Committee. What is a Petitions Committee and how can it help the people of East Kilbride?
A petitions committee is basically where the council receives petitions from communities, from individuals, from groups about issues that are of concern to them and actually do something to respond to these petitions. They look into the issues on behalf of the petitioners. They would ask across the council for information, for evidence about the issue that's being raised, and then they would make sure the council gave a reasoned response to the petition. One works in the Scottish Parliament and it has made a huge difference to the way the Scottish Parliament responds to communities across Scotland. So we're borrowing that kind of example, that kind of way of working from the Scottish Parliament and bringing it into South Lanarkshire to improve transparency, to improve the way that communities can influence decision making by the council. So it's not a means of transforming the council, but it does mean the council becomes more open to communities, to groups, to individuals about what their priorities are.
What will SNP do to promote sport for the under-16s?
SNP support and encourage the under-16s to get involved in sport activity.
Well, the SNP have already, over the past 5 years, got South Lanarkshire Council to allow under 16-year-olds access to sports facilities free if they're associated with an affiliated club, if they're actually taking part in organised sports. That's the kind of thing that we'd want to build on, to encourage people to take part in organised activities, to take part in organised sports, to build up their involvement in sports and to make best use of the facilities that are in the area.
Under-16s have free access to sporting facilities provided that they are part of a sports group, and it's something that we want to encourage. We want to encourage organised sports, and particularly with the Commonwealth Games coming up.
What are SNP doing for young people leaving school who do not wish to go to university but want to work?
The SNP are delivering more apprenticeships than ever before, 25,000 new apprenticeships a year. We're supporting young people to go to college and to have other choices after they leave school that will advance them in a career. Obviously at the moment there's a huge amount of difficulty about the labour market, but we're doing what we can. The SNP government is doing what it can to help young people make a start in the labour market. The Labour Party in 2011, and they're repeating it again this year, are talking about providing a guaranteed apprenticeship for young people. They know they can't guarantee an apprenticeship because an apprenticeship requires an employer to take someone on, and there can be no guarantee from government. Therefore, we are guaranteeing that you'll have access to education or training if you can't get access to employment.
My gran and granddad are worried about the council tax fees. Will this continue?
Well, the SNP have put in place a plan to deliver a council tax freeze for 5 years from 2011. So it will continue for the next 4 years, funded by the Scottish Government.
The Labour Party have been going back and forward. They support it, they don't support it. In fact, last October, the leader of South Lanarkshire Council, a Labour control, said that they couldn't sustain it. Now, this year they're saying they can support it.
Under Labour, when they were in power, the council tax increased by 60%. While Labour had a war chest at Holyrood, they still increased the council tax. The SNP have said, we won't do that. We're freezing the council tax, and we funded that council tax freeze.
This is a big issue, an issue that has been confusing a lot of people.
In this election, Labour are saying that they will extend that freeze for a further year, but there's no funding available for that. Therefore, they're threatening to cut services in order to fund the council tax freeze that so far they have always opposed. They're all over the place on the council tax. The SNP is absolutely clear. We are funding it to 2016 and it will continue till 2016.
SNP will support, from 2011 they'll support the council tax free for 5 years, and any SNP controlled council will support the council tax freeze.
With all we hear about global warming, what will your party do to make sure the country is still a nice place for me and my friends when we grow up?
Well, all the local councils in Scotland are now realising that it's something that they have to look at, and I know that there's a number of councils that have programmes for efficiency and energy, and it's something that we're going to drive and working with the councils.
The SNP takes very seriously the legacy that we're leaving for future generations, and we're already taking action to ensure that we improve what we've inherited.
Local communities in Scotland are currently benefiting from renewable energy.
The Scottish Parliament has passed the most challenging climate change legislation in the world. We have set very hard targets to deliver reductions in carbon emissions. We're looking to produce 100% of the electricity we consume from renewable sources. We already have hydropower, we're looking at tidal and wave power, and we've got an international competition with a £10 million prize for a company to produce electricity from Scottish Water.
In East Kilbride, there's many of my friends, their kids absolutely love the wind farm and they want to go up to the wind farm rather than go to a swing park.
My friends and I won't be old enough to vote in the independence referendum, but we will inherit what the voters of today choose. How will SNP make information available to the people my age on what independence for Scotland means?
Well, the SNP have set out a timeline for the referendum that takes it up to autumn 2014. It gives us time to examine all the issues, to look into the background and to spell out for the people of Scotland, including yourself and others of your age, exactly what the implications will be of independence. We're being asked to bring it on, to bring the referendum forward before that work has been done. But the SNP government has set out a timeline, and within that timeline they will publish the information that people need to make a decision, because it is a very important decision and it will be inherited by people of your age, although the decision will not be taken by people of your age. So you need to understand exactly what is going to happen after the 2014 referendum.
Having just spoken to the council candidates, I'm now going to speak to the MSP for East Kilbride, Linda Fabiani.
Hi Lee.
My friends and I won't be old enough to vote in the independence referendum, but we will inherit what the voters of today choose. How will SNP make information available to people my age on what independence for Scotland means?
Well, that's a really good point, Lee. That's a brilliant question. I think it's what really fascinates me is just how interested people of all ages are in politics these days, not just about the independence question, and even primary schools of all ages, you know, from primary 3, I would say, right up to their final year in primary, visit the Parliament and really interested in what's happening and ask the best questions, I have to say. I mean, as far as the independence referendum is concerned, obviously there's going to be people too young to vote who'll still have an interest in it. And, you know, myself and my colleagues often through Facebook, through Twitter, and through all different ways, visiting schools, get asked these questions all the time. And we've been passing that on to party headquarters, because I would like to see our website, you know, in some ways being a lot more accessible to everyone, and through Facebook, the SNP pages as well, seeing it that way. But I think the most important thing is for people your age to tell us what you want to know about. Because far too often you get adults thinking that we know what's of concern to people of all ages. Well, we don't. So I think it's really a bit of responsibility for you and your folk in your age group to be saying, look guys, this is what we want to know. Tell us it straight, simple, honestly. So there's a project for you.
Thank you all for watching, and if you would like any more information ahead of the election, why not speak to your local candidates?